Title: Needed, not valued. The betrayal that pushed me to leave when my boss told me, "We can't afford to lose you, John." I almost laughed, not because it wasn't flattering. It was, but because I'd just spent my lunch break applying for 6 jobs, all while sitting in my car outside the same building I'd given 6 years of my life to. 6 years. 6 years of unpaid overtime, cancelled vacations were like family speeches, and coffee-stained performance reviews that ended with "We'll see about a raise next quarter." And now he says they need me. Funny how people only say that when they feel you slipping away. I started at this company fresh out of college. Wide-eyed, idealistic, and maybe a little desperate to prove myself. It was a small marketing firm, the kind that prided itself on its startup spirit. Translation: long hours, low pay, and a fridge full of expired Red Bulls. Still, I loved it at first. The chaos, the brainstorming sessions that ran past midnight. The sense that we were building something. My boss, Derek, was the charismatic kind of leader who could make you feel like part of a revolution, until you realized you were the one paying for it with your sanity. But then things changed. The company grew, and so did Derek's ego. The late nights became expected. The praise turned into pressure. And every time someone quit, which happened often, Derek would say the same thing: "We're a family." But not everyone can handle the hustle. I handled it. 4 years. Until I realized family didn't mean much when you were the only one staying late to clean up everyone else's mess. The breaking point came 3 months ago. My dad had a stroke. It wasn't fatal, but it was serious. I needed a few days off to help my mom take care of things at home. When I told Derek, he didn't even look up from his laptop. "Can't you work remotely? We've got that client pitch next week." I remember staring at him, trying to process whether I'd heard him right. "My dad's in the hospital," I said slowly. He just sighed. "I get that, John, but your team needs you." That was the first time I really saw Derek, not as a mentor, not even as a boss, but as a man who only saw me as a tool. I went anyway, missed the pitch. He called me unreliable in front of everyone a week later. That was when I started applying elsewhere. Quietly. 2 weeks ago, I finally got a call from another company, a competitor, higher pay, remote work, actual benefits, the kind that didn't involve pizza Fridays or wellness emails. When I told Derek I was considering another opportunity, he panicked. He called an emergency meeting. He said the company couldn't function without me. He offered vague promises: a possible raise, maybe a new title, eventually more time off. And when I didn't seem convinced, he got angry. "You're being selfish," he said. "We built this place together. You're going to walk away now just because things got tough." I almost laughed again, because things hadn't just gotten tough. They'd been tough for years. The only difference now was that I'd finally stopped pretending it was normal. But then something strange happened. A few coworkers started acting weird around me, distant. One even asked, "So, when's your last day?" Even though I hadn't told anyone I'd been applying for jobs. Turns out, Derek had already told the office I was looking to leave. Said it like a betrayal, like I was cheating on the company. The irony wasn't lost on me. Derek had replaced people behind their backs more times than I could count. Yet, somehow, I was the traitor for wanting something better. Last Friday, he called me into his office again. He said, "John, look, we've had our differences, but we're family. I need to know you're committed to this team." I looked at him, the man who had missed every important moment in my life but expected me to sacrifice all of mine for his company. And for the first time in 6 years, I said, "No. You need me, but you don't value me." His face froze. "You're making a mistake," he said. Maybe I was, but staying felt like a bigger one. Now I'm sitting here with 2 job offers and a resignation email drafted on my laptop. I haven't sent it yet. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of habit. But I keep thinking about what Derek said. "We can't afford to lose you." He's right. They can't. But that's not my problem anymore. The following Monday, I walked into the office and something felt off. You know that feeling? When people suddenly go quiet as you pass by, like you've just walked into your own funeral and everyone's pretending not to stare. I sat down at my desk, opened my laptop, and saw it, an email from HR with the subject line "Confidential Meeting." 2:30 p.m. My stomach sank. I knew immediately that Derek had done something. By 2:30, I was sitting in a small glass conference room with Derek and Melanie from HR. The blinds were drawn. a bad sign. John, Derek started, his voice to calm. I've been hearing some things. Apparently, you've been talking to our competitors. He leaned back in his chair like a detective who already had his suspect cornered. I didn't say anything. He continued, I thought we had an understanding. I thought we were family. That word again, family, had used it so many times it had lost all meaning. Melanie cleared her throat. John, the issue here isn't that you're looking for other opportunities. You're free to do that. The issue is Derek feels you've been, she hesitated, glancing at him, sharing sensitive company information. My jaw dropped. What? That's not true. But Derek was already shaking his head slowly, as if disappointed in me. Come on, John. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Had set me up. That's when it hit me. The late-night check-ins. The sudden interest in which clients I'd been talking to. The friendly little chats in the break room that always ended with him asking, you wouldn't be talking to anyone else, right? Had been baiting me, testing me, and now he was trying to burn me before I could leave on my own terms. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my couch replaying every moment of the last 6 years, the holidays spent at the office, the projects that drained me, the empty promises of promotions that never came. And I realized something brutal. He didn't need me. He needed control. If he couldn't own my time, had tried to own my reputation. So, I did something I hadn't planned on. I hit send on my resignation email, but not before copying the entire senior leadership team. In it, I was brutally honest. I laid out every unpaid hour, every broken promise. Every time Derek had told me to just be a team player. I attached screenshots of messages showing had denied me time off for my dad's stroke. And even emails where had accidentally taken credit for my work. I didn't hold back. And when I finished, I ended it with this. You say this company is a family, but families don't guilt you into loyalty and then threaten you when you want to leave. Families don't lie to protect their own image. I was loyal, I was committed, and all I got in return was manipulation disguised as appreciation. If you truly think I'm replaceable, prove it. Then I pressed send. The next morning, my phone exploded with notifications. 2 coworkers, people I thought were indifferent, texted me saying thank you. One even said, you said what all of us have been afraid to. By noon, I got a call from HR, not Derek. They wanted to discuss my concerns, but I was already gone. I spent the rest of that day sitting at a cafe near the river, watching people rush to and from offices, thinking about how strange it felt to breathe again. For the first time in years, I wasn't on call. I wasn't waiting for an email that could ruin my weekend. I wasn't stuck in a loop of guilt and obligation. It felt like freedom, the kind that doesn't come with confetti or applause. Just quiet relief. A week later, I heard through the grapevine that Derek had been temporarily suspended pending investigation, apparently, or had been sitting on multiple complaints about him. Mine just happened to be the last straw. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt tired, because it wasn't just Derek. It was the whole system that chewed people up and called it loyalty, that convinced us that burnout was noble, that exhaustion meant passion, that sacrifice was success. I'd believed it for too long, and I'd lost so much because of it. Time, friendships, even parts of myself. Now, months later, I'm working at the new company. They treat me like a human being here. I take lunch breaks, real ones. My weekends belong to me. When my dad had another minor health scare, my manager told me, take all the time you need. No guilt, no sighs, no emotional blackmail. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear Derek's voice in my head, we can't afford to lose you. And every time, I smile bitterly and whisper back, you already did. It's been about 6 months since I left that company, but I still wake up some mornings feeling like I'm late for something. Like I should be rushing out the door, coffee in hand, heart racing, terrified of being 5 minutes behind. The ghosts of that job don't fade easily. And the weirdest part, Derek still finds ways to haunt me. It started small, a random LinkedIn notification that had viewed my profile. Then, a week later, I got a text from an old coworker. Hey man, just a heads up. Derek was asking around about where you went. He said he might reach out for a project. I laughed when I read it. Not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. The man couldn't stand that I'd walked away without begging. But here's the thing. I didn't just walk away from a toxic boss. I walked away from a version of myself that believed I had to earn every ounce of respect by suffering for it. Still, the guilt creeps in sometimes. Not about leaving, but but about how long I stayed. You know those moments when you replay conversations in your head and realize how blind you were? I think about the nights I stayed till midnight just to help out. The weekends I canceled plans because the team needed me. The birthdays I skipped because a deadline couldn't wait. And for what? A salary that barely covered the cost of my burnout. A title that meant nothing outside those office walls. A boss who said I was family while stealing credit for my work. I thought loyalty was noble, but now I see it's dangerous when it's one-sided. A month after I quit, I ran into one of my old coworkers, Ellie. She was always the quiet one, the type who'd stay out of office drama and keep her head down. We met at a coffee shop by chance, and when I asked how things were going, she sighed. "Derek's worse," she said. "Has been taking out his stress on everyone. I think he's investigating him again." I told her to hang in there. She smiled, but her eyes said something else. Exhaustion, maybe even fear. 2 weeks later, she texted me. "You were right to leave." I finally put in my notice. Something about that hit me harder than I expected, because for the first time, I realized my exit might have helped someone else escape too. The truth is, betrayal doesn't always come from lovers or friends. Sometimes it comes from people who sign your paychecks, people who promise growth and stability, and then turn your loyalty into leverage. Derek didn't cheat on me in the romantic sense, but he did betray me. He betrayed every late night, every ounce of effort, every time I trusted his we're in this together. And it wasn't just him. It was the whole culture. The one that romanticizes overwork and calls it dedication. The one that trains you to feel grateful for exploitation. Then came the day that truly closed the chapter. I got a message from Melanie, the our woman from that final meeting. She wrote, "Hey John, just wanted to let you know that Derek's been terminated. Officially. Your complaint was part of the investigation. Thought you'd want to know." I stared at that message for a long time. You'd think I'd feel triumphant, right? Vindicated. Justice served. But honestly, I just felt empty, because the damage had already been done. I'd already lost too many nights, too much peace, too much of myself. You can't get those back. Still, I reply, "Thanks for letting me know. I hope the others are doing okay." It took me months to stop flinching every time I saw an email notification after hours. It took me even longer to stop apologizing for taking days off. But slowly, I learned. I learned that peace doesn't mean laziness. That success doesn't require constant suffering. That respect isn't earned through endurance. Most importantly, I learned that being needed is often just code for being used. Now, I work remotely. I set my own hours. I go on walks in the afternoon. I actually see sunlight. Sometimes, I'll open old project files just to remind myself how much I gave to that place, and how little it gave back. One evening, I got a call from Derek's old number. I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail. His voice was quieter than I remembered. Shaky, almost. "Hey, John, I know I don't deserve to call you, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. I let my ego ruin good people. You were one of them." I deleted the message without replaying it. Because sometimes closure isn't about hearing I'm sorry. It's about no longer needing to. So yeah, maybe I was job hunting when my boss said the company needed me. Maybe that makes me selfish in someone else's story. But if being selfish means protecting my sanity, my dignity, and my life, then maybe it's not selfish at all. Maybe it's survival. TLDR, my boss said the company needed me. What he really meant was that he needed me to stay small. I left anyway. He lost his job, and for the first time in years, I finally found peace.